بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأولين والآخرين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون صدق الله العلي العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم عليه الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وصحبه يا سيدي يا حبيب الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا نبي الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا شفيع المذنبين. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending salutations, peace and blessings upon the best of creation, the jewel of creation, the crown of creation, the beloved of Allah Almighty, the coolness to our eyes, the purpose of our lives, the reviver of our hearts, the inspirer to our minds, the awakener of our souls, the most honored one, the most praised one, the most revered one, undoubtedly the most beautiful one, none other than Sayyiduna wa Nabiyuna Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa barak wa sallam. MashaAllah, all praises to Allah for giving us the tawfiq, the ability to fast in the month of Ramadan. And all praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the blessings that He has bestowed upon us. And no doubt that the month of Ramadan is a blessing from the blessings of Allah Almighty. And whenever a blessing comes to you, then the least you should do is thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that blessing. So all praise is due for Allah Almighty, alhamdulillah, that we get to fast in this blessed month. This month has somewhat come and nearly gone. It's been around 22, 23 days now since Ramadan came until now has gone, and there's only a matter of few days left till it's gone completely. Tonight is the 23rd night. Today is the 22nd fast, and you should ask yourselves that how have you found this Ramadan? A lot of you might say, Imam Sahib, it was hard, I struggled, there was long fast that we kept, my breath was smelling, I didn't eat much food, it was hard, Imam Sahib, I couldn't do it, I managed to do it. And there's some people who say we didn't even fast because I get thirsty too quickly. I had an appointment, or I was traveling and I couldn't fast. Yes, traveling is a valid excuse for you not to fast. However, how easy traveling has become for us today, it's not as it was in the day of the Prophet ﷺ. So we might give different answers, but very few people will say, Imam Sahib, this Ramadan changed my life. This Ramadan made a difference in my life. This Ramadan came and I became a different person. I became more practicing. I prayed more. I fasted more. I did more good deeds. I refrained from doing the bad deeds. How many of us can actually say that? Did we just fast with our stomachs, or did we actually fast as we should have fasted? And only you can answer that question. I can't answer that question for you. I can only pose the question. To yourselves, and most importantly to myself as well, as how did we find this Ramadan? What was unique and special about this Ramadan? Has this Ramadan just come and gone and you're still where you are? kind of like a car stuck in the mud and revving, and it's just, there's splashes of mud going everywhere, but the car's not getting out of the ditch. And that's how we are right now. We're stuck in one place and we can't get out of that. And that place sadly is the dunya. We're stuck in the dunya and we're trying to get out of this dunya, but we can't. We're finding it hard. There's too many distractions, too many problems. And this is something that we need to really work on. With the last few days that are left, how am I going to change? Don't let it be that Ramadan is going to go, come the 29th night, the barber shops are filled with people coming to have haircuts, and that's it. Everyone's out shopping for Eid clothes. And that's what Ramadan was, that once Ramadan ends, Eid day comes, and you lose your iman on the day of Eid. You go out into Manchester to chill on Windsor Road for the night. You go into Bradford and Great Horton Road, you just go chill out there and just drive, hire a car, chill out in the cars. That's what happens on Eid day. And a lot of youngsters do that. A lot of youngsters would sit and text their boys and meet them up after Taraweeh or at Taraweeh and say, listen, what we got planned for Eid? What we're going to do this Eid? Let's make this Eid the best Eid we've ever had. And sadly, the best Eid they ever had is the best in the bad way. The best in doing wrong. Let's pick up a tennis bag tennis bag of weed or cocaine or heroin that we couldn't have whilst we were fasting. Let's do it now. Let's just chung it out one time. And you just think that's the only way that my Eid's going to be Eid. During the day, I'll go read Eid Salah, and you'll turn up. Right at the end, you probably missed the 6 takbeers, and you've done Eid namaz, and you're well chuffed because, I done Eid namaz in it, bro. I read my Eid. I read it in Bilal Masjid in Rochdale. I read my Eid. Over you came right at the last minute. And you're wearing the salwar kameez for Eid namaz. When you go home, then the Gucci Armani come on. Then I don't know what else you guys wear. These jeans and trainers that we've gone and bought. We spend so much money on these clothes. I don't know, I can't remember the last time I spent so much on jeans or on a t-shirt. I rarely wear it. I probably spend money on jubbas, that's it. That's the kind of swag that we wear these days. So the jubba, I probably get a new jubba for Eid. And we should buy new clothes for Eid. It's a happy day, we should spend money on these things. But then going out and spending 4, 5, 6, 700 pounds on Eid clothes. And why do you wear them? You wear them so that you can impress those around you. You can prove that, look, I've got the Gucci and Armani on. I look good. That's why you wear them. If you really wore them for Eid day, then it would be different. And you know that better than I do. So we need to get our intentions correct and in place. We need to sort ourselves out and not let this Eid be an Eid of destruction, but let this Eid be an Eid where we get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Eid came to celebrate the 30 days or 29 days of you fasting. It was a celebration for that. It wasn't a celebration that shaitan's back in society. Because for 30 days shaitan's not around. It's not that shaitan's not around and Eid day shaitan's back in society and you guys all do istiqbal and said, welcome shaitan back to society. We've dressed up for you, we went out for you. It shouldn't be like that. And I'm not saying that you're not allowed to go out. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, okay, if you're going out, take your family with you, take your wife, take your children. Go out, go have a nice meal. It's Eid, it's a special occasion. Spend what Allah has given you on your family. I'm not saying that I'm against or it's wrong to go out. But then when you go out with your boys till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, Eid night, Eid day, the following night you're out till 3, 4 in the morning in a shisha lounge, smoking shisha with the people around you in a mixed environment which isn't allowed, then there's a problem here. And this is how it's been for a good number of years for our Muslim youth in and around our neighborhoods and communities and in this country where there's Muslims. This is what's happening sadly. And we need to change that. We need to speak out against that. We need to give an alternative to the people. And mashallah, we do have alternatives where people do have Eid in the park. Eid in the park where they have Eid in the park and Salatul Eid is performed and led in the local park. This is a good initiative. So we need to look at new ways to get youth off the street on the day of Eid and get them to do something good. Invite them to the house of Allah. Invite them to the masjid in the evening. Do a dhikr session on the night of Eid. The one who wakes up the night of Eid, then on the day of judgment, his heart will be alive whilst others will be dead. Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. But Eid night is Chand Raat, isn't it? Chand Raat. Everyone's out. The sisters are out putting makeup on, and they'll sleep with that makeup on so it doesn't mess up in the morning. Sadly, it's what happened. It's mashallah good for our sisters to get together on Chand Raat. Chand Raat means the night of the moon. And the new moon, it's coming. So for the new moon, that night, everyone gets together and samosas are made, pakoras are made, probably the leftovers that they've had for the last 30 days, they said, chalo chacha, Wallahu alam, Allah knows best. But this is what happens, and we need to look at an alternative for the brothers. Maybe in Bilal Masjid, instead of people coming in for Taraweeh, the last night, there's no Taraweeh on that night. Maghrib namaz, Elan is done that tomorrow is Eid. You hold a zikr session, 1 hour. And you get all the youth in and say, look, tonight's Eid night, let's spend it in the remembrance of Allah. Why can't we do an initiative like that? And the Prophet ﷺ has said, the one who stays away the night of Eid, because remember, Islamically, the night comes first, then the day. Whoever stays away the night of Eid, 2 Eids, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, then on the day of judgment, his heart will be alive, whilst others will be dead. And you want your heart to be alive on the day of judgment, not dead. Man atallaha biqalbin salim. Yawma la yanfa'u malun wa la banun illa man atallaha biqalbin salim. That on that day, your money, your wealth, your children, nothing's going to benefit you except the one who comes with a sound heart. The one who comes with a heart that's alive. And a heart's only alive when you do the dhikr of Allah. Otherwise, those hearts are dead. And how often did we do dhikr? How often have we picked the tasbih or we've moved our tongues and said Hasbi Rabbi Jalallah or Ma fi qalbi ghayrullah or Nuri Muhammad sallallahu la ilaha illallah Subhanallah, Subhanallah. How often have we said Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar? How often have we done Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfir? How often have we done these zikr azkar? Only Ramadan we do it because we get super religious at that time. We boost it. After Ramadan, what happens? And young lads, you need to look at how after Ramadan, if this Ramadan hasn't been good, then after Ramadan you need to become even better. You need to get good. And if this Ramadan's been good, then after Ramadan it's going to get even harder because shaitan's back in society. And when shaitan's back in town, then it's hard. He's going to attack you. What you wasn't doing in the month of Ramadan, he's going to say, do it now. Bro, you didn't lick a zoot, lick a zoot. You didn't speak to no girl, speak to a girl. This is what's going to happen. And shaitan's going to come at you even harder than he's normally coming at you. Because he's had 30 days to charge his batteries and come back into society, into town, and he wants to misguide people. That's his job. His job is to misguide me and you. His job is to distract and deviate us from the haqq, which is the truth. The truth which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the as-sirat al-mustaqim, the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is what we need to sort ourselves out. If we look at the state of the Ummah today as well, everyone knows what's happening in Gaza. Everybody knows the amount of over 400 innocent people have been killed in Gaza in the last 2 weeks. Over 400 people. And they've termed it as collateral damage. We were targeting Hamas, but instead innocent women and children have been killed. The hospitals have been blown up, houses have been destroyed. And then look at our youth on the street. We're busy licking zoots and picking up drugs and selling them. We're busy hotwiring cars and stealing cars and hiring cars for Eid. Yet look at our brothers in Gaza and sisters. Where are our priorities as an ummah? What's our priority? What is our priority? Ourselves? Or is it our ummah? The Prophet ﷺ said that when one part of the body feels pain, the entire body feels pain. The ummah is like one body. If one part of the ummah is in pain, then the entire ummah should feel the pain of that body, that part. And right now, our Palestinian brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine, they are in pain. Right now, how are they going to open their fast? Right now, it's 2-3 hours ahead, 11 at night there, 12 at night there. What Taraweeh are they going to be performing? With the fear of a bomb going to be thrown on top of them. With the fear of soldiers coming into the masjid and firing at them. They've fled their homes. I was reading a news report on the way down from London that these people, a reporter was saying, people are leaving their homes. They're leaving their homes in Gaza, one village. They were leaving it, and she was saying that they weren't leaving Gaza, the city, with their clothes and everything's packed and they're leaving. They left everything behind, they're running for their lives. Because the tanks have come in and they're just blowing everything that comes in their direction. And then look at us in the streets of Rochdale and Bradford, how we are. Look at the state we're in. Drugs, alcohol, illegal sexual intercourse, so many problems. Look at the state of the Ummah, where are we? We should feel for those people and we should feel for ourselves. We need to wake up as an Ummah. The Ummah is asleep right now. How much more are we going to take as an Ummah before we realize, look, we need to change. Brother, we need to change now. Going out and demonstrating and holding marches and these things are fantastic. I'm with it because it creates awareness. It raises our voice as an Ummah. That's alhamdulillah great. But then it speaks louder when at Fajr time every Jamia Masjid in every city in this country where Muslims are is filled with Muslims reading Salatul Fajr. It gives a great image. Muslims are strong. Their voices are strong, but our Iman needs to be stronger. We can have strong voice, but Iman needs to be strong. And when a mu'min has a strong voice, a mu'min, his Iman speaks louder than his voices. A mu'min doesn't talk a lot, yet he still makes changes. And people who are weak, they talk a lot, they make a lot of noise, but then their hearts are weak. In the Battle of Badr, how many of them stood there and started doing talks? The Imam was strong. In the Battle of Badr, 313 Sahaba defeated a 1,000-man army. There was 2/3 more enemy soldiers on the Battle of Badr against the Muslims, yet the Muslims came out victorious. Why? Because the Iman was strong. Because the Muslims were united. And today, we have a larger number. We have 1.7 around the world. 1.7 billion around the world. Look at our state. And if we compare that to the 7 billion, we are not even 1/3. We don't make 1/3 of the population. Yet if we had strong Imans and we were united and strong, then who could dare challenge the Muslims? Who could dare raise arms against the Muslims? This is why as an Ummah we need to change ourselves first before we try to change everything around us. Every Ummah has a responsibility and a duty. We need to fulfill our responsibility, we need to fulfill our duty as well. And our duty is to our deen, our responsibility is to our deen. We need to open our eyes and wake up. The Ummah needs to wake up, and the youth need to wake up. Young lads need to wake up. They need to start reading Salah. They need to start connecting with the Quran. I'm not saying, yeah bro, I'm a Muslim and that's it. I read the kalima and I'll go to Jannah. I'm a Sunni, I do Mawlid and I'll go to Jannah. That's not enough. The Prophet ﷺ said on the day of judgment, even they will rely on Allah's mercy. This is the leader of man, ﷺ, the best of creation. They said, even I will depend on Allah's mercy to enter paradise. Yet nobody will be allowed to enter paradise until the Prophet ﷺ enters. What are they teaching us? That don't sit on this high horse and think because you read the kalima, because you do Mawlid, because you do Khatam, you do Ghiyarvi, because you read 5 times a day Salah, that's enough. It's never. We don't know what good deed we'll do that take us to paradise. And we don't know what bad deed we'll do that take us to the fire of Jahannam. We don't know. So we live in hope. We ask for Allah's mercy. And right now we need to wake up. As an Ummah, we need to wake up. The youth of Rochdale need to wake up. The youth of Bradford need to wake up. The youth of Birmingham need to wake up. They need to open their eyes and realize there's more to life than these streets. There's more to life than chasing the dollar and dime. There's more to life than wearing good gowns. What gowns have the people of Palestine? What have they got? Do you see them wearing Gucci and Armani? They wear ripped slippers. You're going to West Bank. I've been to West Bank. I've seen the children in West Bank. They come, they run at you, and they beg you for money. Because they know you're from the United Kingdom, the man's going to give. Whatever you have, you give it to them. The people in West Bank and the people in Gaza. These are the two known states of the Palestinians in Israel, which we believe is Palestine ultimate. In Israel, the state of Israel, these are the only 2 states, 2 places, West Bank and Gaza. And both of them, they have walls around them. Nobody knows what's happening inside there. We get limited information. And we need to open our eyes. Look at our state, look at where we are. Look at what we're doing. There's more to life than what we are doing. There's more to life than our Facebook accounts and Twitter. There's more to life than the cars, and there's more to life than these things. Life itself is more precious than what we are doing. And that life, if we understood what life was, then we'd appreciate these things. We'd appreciate what Allah has given us. And that's what we need to wake up. We need to wake up as an ummah right now. And if a revolution is ever to come, if change is ever to come, and inqilab is ever to come, it's going to come from the youth. And the youngsters who are living in the West. It's us youngsters, it's us who can bring the change. We've got to change ourselves though. We've got to stop doing what we're doing. We've got to become more practicing, more religious, more pious. We can't just rely on the religious people to make the change. Every one of us needs to change. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah is not going to change the state of people until they change themselves first. First and foremost, we need to change in ourselves. Identify our own weaknesses, our own flaws and problems, and work on them. And then slowly, when that brings about the change inside us, then everything around us, our children if we have children, our wives if we have wives, our mothers, sisters, brothers, fathers, they around us will begin to see that change in you, and they will change as well. We need to start doing that. The Masjid need to get more active with the youngsters. This is something that needs to happen. We need to look at ways of how are we going to get the youth off the street? How are youth going to come into the house of Allah and begin to worship Allah? How are they going to change? We've got to put these things in place, these mechanisms in place, so that the youngsters can slowly begin to change. Remember, there's more to life than clothes and gowns. There's more to life than cars. There's more to life than properties. There's more to life than these things. To you, in your life, more than your property and everything, it's your children. That's what means the world to you. When you have children, that's it. In this world, there's nothing more than your children and your parents. And in reality, we should feel the same for our own Muslim brother. The Prophet ﷺ says, that person doesn't have iman if he is sleeping with a full stomach and his neighbor is going empty. And imagine you have a neighbor next door to you and he's not having the same food as you are. You will be accountable on the Day of Judgment. The Prophet ﷺ said these things. They encouraged the Sahaba to these things. So this is where iman is. Iman lies in that you don't sleep with a full stomach, but you allow your neighbor to sleep with a full stomach. This is what iman is. So that we can increase love with one another, respect with one another, care for one another. And these are things that we are missing in this world. These are things that we're not seeing. We've got money, we've got cars, we've got properties, but where's the love gone? Where's the care gone? Where's the kindness gone? Where's the generosity gone? Where's the gentleness gone with one another? Where's the love gone with the brothers? We have everything else, but we don't have these things. Yet in Palestine and in third world countries, they have the love, they have the care, they have the kindness. They don't have the money, they don't have the materialism. And go back 60, 70 years ago, where were the houses, where were the Ferraris, where were the Lamborghinis? They weren't around. But what did they have? They didn't have a lot of money. They were poor people living in Pakistan, our parents, our grandparents, but they had love. When they'd eat together from one plate, they wouldn't have separate plates to eat from. That's what they had. This is what we're missing. We need to come back to these things. This is why the Prophet ﷺ said, when you eat together, you eat from your side of the plate. And you work your way in. And if there's all of you eating around one plate, the Prophet ﷺ said, one person's food will suffice 2 people. 2 people's food will suffice 4 people. What do we think? We think we've got 4 months, we've got to get 4 months' food. We don't realize there's barakat in that 2 people's food. The 2 people's food will suffice for 4 people. There's barakah in these things. These are the things that we're missing. And these are the things that we need to go back to. The love, the kindness, the generosity, the gentleness. This love amongst brotherhood. This brotherhood. That's what we need. Respect for one another, care for one another. Sibab al-Muslim fusuqun wa qitaluhu kufrun. The Prophet ﷺ said, swearing at a Muslim, it's fisk. Killing a fellow Muslim is kufr. And how many youngsters fighting against one another? Turf wars against one another, beef against one another. Bruv, you said this to me in school days, I'm going to get you back now. You hold these grudges from back then. No, he did this on the football pitch, I ain't going to forgive him for what he did on the football pitch. But what happens on the pitch, leave it on the pitch. Don't take those problems off the pitch. These are problems today that we find. And we hold these things as Muslim brothers, we can't stand one another. We look at each other and think the man's got Gucci on, he's got Armani, he's wearing Adidas, he's wearing Nike. He's wearing this brand, he's wearing that brand. We look at one another like this. Why? It doesn't matter what he's wearing. It's what he is as a person. And we need to get out of this mentality of judging people. You know, they say, Oh look man, the guy, look at how much wrong he did. You know what's the best saying that I can think of? Hate the sin, not the sinner. That person, he might have done wrong, but he got a chance. He might change. Hate what he's done wrong, don't like that. It's wrong to swear, but don't say he's bad. Swearing is bad. Maybe he's a good person and it slipped from his tongue. This is why you should always hate the sin, not the sinner. And we, in our society where we are, brother, we don't hate the sin, we hate the sinner. We don't hate the sin, we should hate the sin, not the sinner. But it's the other way around. We don't hate the sin. How many of us speak out against alcohol when we know it's haram? How many of us speak out against gambling when we know it's haram? But we sit in the same cars, our boys, whilst they liquor zoo. We won't even stop them. Because yeah, he's my boy in it. We will sit with our friends, they'll be drinking in university, college, wherever. We won't even stop them. We won't even say, bro, what are you doing, man? You're a Muslim, where's your Imam gone? What, you're going to drink away? We can't even stop him. And the Prophet ﷺ said, if you see something wrong happening, you should stop it with your hands. If you can't, you should speak out against it. And if you can't speak out against it, at least in your heart, have a dislike towards that thing. And that's the weakest of Iman. And we should be speaking out against these things at least. Wherever we see wrong, we should speak out. This is the quality of the Ummah of the Prophet ﷺ is what? That كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. You are the best Ummah. Why? Because you tell people to do good and you stop people from doing bad. And when we see bad, we should stop people from doing bad. Because when we stop people from doing bad, then corruption doesn't spread on the earth, good spreads on the earth. This is when Islah comes into the earth. And that's what our duty is. To spread good on this earth, not corruption. So these are the things, these are very, very basic things that we need reminding about. This was just a reminder. There's nothing new that I've said. You probably read the same things on Facebook. You probably hear the same thing from your parents. So we need to go back to the basics, go back to what Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said. Rather than living our lives and neglecting Islam, and when Ramadan comes and we become practicing, when Eid comes we become practicing, and then after Eid Salah we change. When Jummah comes we become practicing and pious, and when Jummah's gone then we go back to our normal state. No. If we become pious and practicing, we make a permanent change. But change for good. Don't change for the moment. Don't be a person for the moment. The real man is the one who is permanent, not temporary. And don't make a temporary change towards Islam, make a permanent change towards Islam. Permanently change as a Muslim. That's what we should be doing, permanently changing. And we should look at what can we do to do that? Our local masjids need to get involved. The ulama and aimma and imams need to set an example. When's the last time on Jummah you heard them speak about the issue of Palestine and Gaza? When's the last time you heard that at your local Jummah? Where they've done an entire Jummah speech on that. Yet it's the duty of the ulama. And I speak for myself here. It's my duty and the duty of other speakers out there and scholars that they speak up on these issues. That they give solutions to their communities regarding these issues. Where there's wrong, they speak out against it. Where there's good, they should promote it. That's the duty of the Imam and the scholar. And this is what our scholars need to fulfill their duties. It's the job of the political leaders, Muslim politicians, to speak up and voice the concerns of the Ummah. Because they are in the position of authority, they are in the position of power. If they're not doing their job, the ulama are not doing their job, then what's going to happen? What's happening right now in the Ummah? The real people that need to be awake, they're asleep, and those that need to be asleep, they're awake. And that's the bad. The bad is awake and the good is asleep. Whereas good should be awake and bad should be put to sleep. Bad should be put to bed, and that's what we can only do that as the Ummah. We need to wake up. This is just a simple wake-up call for each and every one of us. Look at your own state, change your state, and then try to change everything around you. Start with yourself, then the others. Simple things that we need to go back to, basics. Otherwise, we will be in the state we are as an Ummah. And look at that. Look at what's happening in Palestine. Look at what's happening in the Middle East. What's happening in Iraq. What's happening in Egypt. What's happening in Syria. What's happening in Palestine, in Gaza. Look what's happening, the corruption in our own land, Pakistan. So much corruption. Corruption, fasad has spread on the earth. We need to remove this fasad from the earth. This is something that it's our duty. Nothing from the heavens is going to come. No prophet's going to come and sort it out. Because the Prophet ﷺ is the final prophet that Allah has sent. No new book from the heavens is going to come. The Quran is the final book. So the final way, and the way to do this is to go back to the Quran and the Sunnah. And that's through education. When you educate yourself, when you have ilm, when you have knowledge, when you study the deen, when you understand the deen, then change will come. And without this education, without this ilm, without this knowledge, it's not going to make no change. Knowledge is the key right now. Knowledge is life. Go and study with ulama, sound scholars, sit with them and learn the deen. Learn for yourself and then learn for society around you. And you yourself become a torch bearer. So that when you walk, people are benefiting from the light that you have. And not be a case where you're dark and the people around you are running away from you because you're dark. Become illuminated in yourself. And such illumination that it attracts people towards you. It attracts people towards you. So people come towards you and take the deen from you as well. And that's what we need to do. That's the most important thing. I didn't realize my microphone even fell down. So this is something that we need to wake up and realize. Think about the most important things in life. These things on the street that's happening with the boys and that. We need to forget these things. We need to ignore these things. How long are you going to live on the street for? How long are you going to chase after the street? How long are you going to, what you want created for the street? Man said, I didn't choose the streets chose me. This is the argument, I didn't choose the street chose me. I didn't choose a thug life chose me. No, he didn't. You wasn't born to be a thug, you wasn't born to be on the street. You wasn't born, you didn't come into this earth to commit fasad. You was created sinless, with no sins to your name. You came as a ma'soom in this world. You was created without any sin to your name, and that's when you became accountable. That's when everything began to be written. So we need to open our eyes, we need to wake up, we need to realize the Ummah needs to wake up, we need to wake up. We ourselves, first and foremost, then our families and neighbors and everything in our community around us, and then the wider community around us. And we need to create awareness, we need to speak out with good and forbid the evil and stop the evil. We can't stop it with our hands, we stop it with our tongues. If not with our tongues, then with our eyes and with our hearts. We should feel it in our heart. These are things that we need to keep in mind. This is just a simple reminder. وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ ذِكْرَى تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And just remind them. Reminders are beneficial to the believers. The believers take benefit from reminders. And this is what this is, a simple reminder. I make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to take heed of these reminders, to act upon these reminders, and to bring about the change in our life. This inqilab comes inside us and then around us as well. وأقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. والله Almighty, the wasila of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, the wasila of the Sahaba al-Karam, awliyaullah, salihin, shuhada, ulama ummat, shuhada ummat, Allah Almighty, the shuhada of Badr, we ask you to forgive our sins in the month of Ramadan. Wallah, to the wasila of Rasulullah salam, those who are ill, grant them shifa al-kamil. Wallah Almighty, those who are being oppressed at this moment in time, remove them from the oppression. Allah Almighty, the wasila of Rasulullah salam, those marhumeen who have passed away from this world, grant them a place in Jannah. Allah Almighty, the wasila of Rasulullah salam, in particularly Chaudhry Karamat Sahib marhum who passed away a couple of days ago. Allah Almighty, grant him a place in Jannah. Allah Almighty, grant in the Lawahikin Sabr Jamia. Allah Almighty, grant the family and deceased families of Sabr Jameel. Allah Almighty, accept all our du'as. Allah Almighty, the month of Ramadan is going. We are in the blessed time of iftar. Du'as are accepted at this time. O Allah, through the wasila of this time, Allah Almighty, the barakah of this time, through your mercy, Allah Almighty, we ask you to forgive us for our major and Allah Almighty, forgive us for our shortcomings. Allah Almighty, we ask you to wasila of Rasulullah salam, strengthen our iman. Allah Almighty, strengthen our iman. Allah Almighty, you strengthen our iman. Allah Almighty, the wasila of Rasulullah salam, grant us all a place in Jannah. Allah Almighty, accept all our du'as. Allah Almighty, wasila of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, whatever good du'as that we have, accept all our du'as. Allah Almighty, guide our brothers and sisters to the way of Islam. Allah Almighty, let us follow the role models of Sayyidina Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. Allah Almighty, let us follow the role models of Sayyidina Fatima and Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala. Allah Almighty, to the wasilah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, grant us the shafa'at of Rasulullah sallallahu. Let us have khatma upon iman. When we leave this world, let us say la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah Almighty, grant us knowledge of Islam. Grant us that knowledge which is beneficial. Allah Almighty, increases in the knowledge that is beneficial. Allah Almighty, change our hearts. Allah Almighty, we ask you to guide our hearts. Allah Almighty, guide our actions towards your way. Allah Almighty, give us all tawfiq to seek your repentance. Give us all tawfiq to repent in your way. Allah Almighty, repent in your bargah. Through the wasilah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah Almighty, we ask you that do not let the Ramadan leave us except that we have been forgiven. Allah Almighty, do not let Ramadan leave us except that we have been forgiven. Oh Allah, we ask you to forgive us for our major and minor sins. Oh Allah, we ask you for your forgiveness, forgive us for our sins. Oh Allah Almighty, through your mercy, we ask you for your forgiveness, forgive us for our sins. Oh Allah Almighty, let us build a connection with the Quran, with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with the religion of Islam. Allah Almighty, let us become true practicing Muslims. Allah Almighty, let there become a change in our lives. Change in our lives, Allah. Wasilah of Rasulullah sallallahu, let there become a change in our lives. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqi sayyidina wa nabina wa mawlana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allah Almighty, the brothers and sisters who are suffering and oppressed, who are being tortured in Gaza, Palestine, in Iraq, in Pakistan, Allah Almighty, those who are poor around the world, Allah Almighty, enrich them with the dawlat of Iman. Allah Almighty, those who are being oppressed in Palestine, free from the oppression. Allah Almighty, wasilah of Rasulullah sallallahu, protect our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Sallallahu ta'ala ala sayyidina wa nabina wa mawlana محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين آمين برحمتك يا